Hi, everybody, and welcome to Inside the Ropes, Real Talk with Real Pros. This is Jeff Marsack, your mortgage partner with the Marsack Mortgage Team at Simple Home Lending. Today, we're talking with our friend Joe Cracchiolo with Keller Williams Paint Creek out of Rochester, Michigan. And today, we're going to chat a little bit about the theory of, hey, rates might come down. Should we wait on looking into buying because we want to see that rate drop take effect? Or should we just go ahead and get out there and start looking now? So Joe and I talked about this earlier, and we thought, we've had some experiences in the past couple of years where it's been a similar conversation, except for Joe, it's kind of been rates are high. Should I buy right now and wait? And we've run into some clients over the last couple of years, haven't we, where we thought,
Absolutely.
no, let's look at buying now, and let's talk a little bit about how we were able to structure some deals in the past with a 2-1 buy down, for example, that really helped some clients get into a home sooner rather than later, and really benefit from it now, and having not waited for those two and a half
Absolutely.
years.
No,
So,
that puts them in a good spot.
yep. Tell us a little bit about. Let's talk about our clients, Tom.
And Megan,
Woodward. Yep. Tom and Megan Woodward, who are great clients of ours from a couple years ago. Tell us a little bit about what we did on that transaction and
pretty much
what.
same thing. They thought rates were a little high. They thought they might drop, and it's all about so many people just want to try to time the market, and unfortunately, that doesn't work. There's too many factors on why it doesn't work. And the best times to buy when you're ready. They were ready. I knew they were ready, but they were just concerned. They found the house that they liked. They wanted to write an offer, but they came to me and just kind of complained about the interest rates. Came to you. We crunched some numbers and talked about some programs. And you just mentioned a 2-1 and the 2-1 buy down. And I think we maybe should expand on that. A lot of people don't understand it. I've said that to clients before, and they're like, "Well, I don't want an arm. I don't want it ballooning into something." It's not what it is.
No,
2-1 buy down. Jeff, this is your expertise, but in
yeah,
layman's terms, 2-1 buy down. You're going to buy it down 2% the first year. So let's just say you've got a 7% right now, and you want to get it down to 5. Your first year is 5. Your second year would be 6. And for the Woodwards, we were able to have the sellers, I believe in their deal, have the sellers pay for that. And
we
what
did.
they're doing, the sellers are paying a concession, which is going to cover the interest that our clients would have had to pay.
That's right.
And some people say, well, what's the difference? Because it's ultimately going to be a 7% loan. Well, the difference is kind of like in today's market. Um, you know, everybody wants they're kind of on the shelf waiting to jump. And then they're like, oh, we're going to wait till we beat the market. Well, if you buy now and have a 2-1 buy down, you can refi. And,
That's exactly what
so
we
that,
did.
so the first year you get a 5%. Like, well, what's the big difference? That could be hundreds of dollars a month. Hundreds of dollars a month you could save the first year. The second year, it's half that. So maybe 100 and a half, maybe $200 a month the second year. And then the third year, worst case scenario, interest rates don't drop. And they were in
You're
a
locked. You're still locked, at
they're
least.
still locked in.
Mhm.
They might have came from a rental. If they're renting, and at least this got them in that house, and they had a lower payment for the first 2 years. But statistics, and when you deal with professionals and people that you trust, like myself or you, Jeff, when we can kind of predict the market, I mean, we don't have a crystal ball, but we got our stuff together. We can watch it and we can figure it out. But when we believe, just like everybody else, that the market's going to come down, or if that's the thought, then refi. And
Yeah,
and that's what they just recently did. Is that correct?
they did, and to use some kind of specific numbers for them, and they had a house that you sold, so they were looking to get out of their home, I believe, just looking to get out of where they were and get into something a little bigger, a little nicer, like everybody. So when you got them out there, they bought their home out there for $260,000. That's what they paid for the house. This was back in February of 2023. Okay.
Okay.
So you bought it in February 2023. The rate at the time was 6.598. Okay. Not that dramatically different from where we're at now. We're
No.
lower. But at the time, again, they felt like that was a little high. So you negotiated with them on that 2-1 buy down. And again, for those that don't understand, that means we took the dollar amount of monies that they would have saved in their payment over the course of 2 years by dropping that rate 2% year one and 1% year two, add all that dollar amount up, and Joe asks the seller to pay for that for the buyer, just like any other concession that you ask for, right? No big deal. Not even a huge dollar amount. For them, it was $5,648.64. So $5,600 is all Joe had to ask those sellers for to get the clients to be able to kind of slowly work their way into that rate. So for the first year, they saved $311 a month for the first
Perfect.
12 months, 311 bucks. Year two, they saved $159 a month. Huge, right?
It's
So that,
huge, especially at that purchase
oh,
price. I mean,
oh,
that purchase price and the hundreds of
yes,
dollars they're saving a month.
huge, huge, and that ended in April of 2025. So just earlier this year, it finally went back up to the full 6.598. Now, obviously, recently we saw some rates drop, right? So we were starting to see the 10-year come down. The Feds finally dropped interest rates a little bit, and myself as a mortgage partner of not only my real estate friends but my past clients, I'm always watching that for them. So they were right on the top of my list of, we got to talk to these folks as soon as rates come down a bit and take advantage of it. And sure enough, we did. So coincidentally enough, we're closing today as we're recording our podcast here today. And here's what happened for them, because I think this is just such a perfect example of why you shouldn't wait for rates. Just buy when you need to buy or buy when you want to buy. Because here's what they did. We're closing today. They bought for 260 back 2.5 years ago, not even quite. Their home went up $75,000 in value. We actually got an appraisal waiver at
Oh wow.
$335,000 value from the 260 that they bought it for, which was 5% down when they bought it. So they had the PMI when they bought it at 260 with 5% down. Now they refinanced. They got a full appraisal waiver. They got 80% loan to value. So the PMI went bye-bye, right? So now no more PMI. We got the interest rate down to 5.624.
Oh, that's great.
So lower than, even, the basically year two rate, when they were at 5.598, right? So even
Mm.
still lower than that. So they're closing today. And now their first payment also, because we're closing today and it disperses in October, because you always have a 3-day waiting period on a refinance. So they're skipping their October and their November payments, and their first payment's not due till December 1st. And they got $94 back at closing today. Uh,
Wow. Right.
should they have waited to
That's
the
the
market to
question.
get better to buy?
Oh my God, the
I sure
equity that
don't
they've
think
got in the
so.
house. No, and something I want to point out, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit for it, Jeff. You said, you're always on top of it. So many people wonder, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to refi. How am I going to know? Where's my lender going to be? Am I still going to be in contact with them? They, when I work with you, Jeff, I mean, I found you before I was in the
Yeah,
business of real estate, and
right.
you helped me with my mortgage, and I always got that phone call when it was ready. I was like, God, this guy's on top of it, and
Yep.
that's exactly what you did for them. It's a
Yep.
no brainer. It's being able to work with people that you trust that are going to be around for a long time, and they're going to do what they say when this isn't just about closing their deal. This
No,
is about the life of their loan,
right.
and you're going to be there, and you're going to follow up with them.
Yeah.
They probably weren't even thinking about it, and they probably got a call out of the blue from you saying, "Hey, time's ready. Oh wow, how do we make this work?" And then you make it as easy as possible and quick as possible. How long did it take to get that loan approved and closed?
Oh, you don't even want to
It
know. It was probably a less than, no,
was 24 hours.
theirs was a 1 day clear to close,
Yeah, yeah,
because and that is incredible because we didn't need an appraisal.
right.
Title work came back literally same day, and we were clear to close in
But that
24
was because
hours.
of the equity that they gained in their home, and if they would have waited, I mean, they're not gonna have it. Again, they were in a different spot, they still had to sell, but I like to use this analogy for people that are renting or, maybe even a first-time home buyer where they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait and save money. I'm gonna stay with my parents, or I'm gonna stay where I'm at with family." Well, if they would have got in, my clients here, they got into that house and they gained equity. You couldn't have saved money like that. I know they couldn't have. I couldn't have. I mean, that's huge. You couldn't have invested
They would
money
they would have had
better.
to save $2,500 a month for the last 2.5 years to keep up with what this new home's value increased during that same time, because it went up $75,000 in value. So
Right, right.
it,
Who's going to save that?
you're just not going
Nobody.
to save that. No. So
No.
it was a great opportunity. And again, I want to emphasize that when your real estate friend and partner out there is negotiating for you, like Joe, you it's not that hard to get these kind of concessions. It was probably harder 2.5 years ago
Mhm.
when you got this home for them than it is today, because the
Oh,
market's a
absolutely.
little softer. So to
Yep.
ask for 5 to 10,000, even, let's call it, in concessions, sure, they could have saved that. Now here, let's look at it this way: they could have saved that $5,600 off their closing costs 2 years, 2.5 years ago when they bought the house.
Mhm.
But they utilized it for using the buy down on the interest rate, which really helped them again for the last 2.5 years. So just asking for a small amount of concessions nowadays, it should not be a big challenge. Are you seeing more concessions out there? Are you seeing that
Um, I see the
availability?
potential. I haven't utilized that recently with any of my transactions, but it's an option, and
Mhm.
that's just something between my clients, the house, and I think every circumstance is circumstantial, or every transaction circumstantial. But it's definitely a huge tool, and it's something that I always think about right now, especially like you said, the market's softer. You're seeing homes sit longer on the market, home
Right.
prices are dropping, and again, why would I want to? If you're going to come in $10,000 lower, let's come in $5,000 lower and still ask for concessions. Wow, could we do
Right.
both? Absolutely, I've done it many times,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
just
Absolutely.
obviously want to put our clients in the best position possible.
And if rates today, I did a quick look at where we were rates today as we're at the end of September here. And a lot of people have been saying, man, if we could get down into the upper fives, the market's going to take off. Well, it's not impossible to do that today. I mean, I just priced one out at 5,999. It is
Oh wow,
possible.
yep,
Yes, there's a little bit of cost involved with that, but it's certainly an option.
right.
And if you're going to do a buy down, the other strategy too is you don't have to do a 2-1 buy down. You can do a 1-0 buy down. So if the rate today was 599, you could get them a 1-0 buy down, which costs very little money typically, in terms of concessions, and get them down to 499 for the first year. And then by the year two, it goes to the 599. And then if rates drop in 2026, like we're thinking they're going to, there's always the availability to refinance anytime during your 12 months and lock in if rates all of a sudden did drop to 5.5, 5.75, or something to that effect. And the money that's in the escrow account for the buy down is your money. So you get to utilize that money to help pay for the refinance too. So that money never just goes away, it's sitting there. And if you're refinancing before the full term of that buy down is up, that money's yours to help contribute towards the costs of the refinance. So it's a win-win no matter what. So
Great information.
yeah, it's really solid program, and it's not complicated. It just sounds complicated. Like you said, a lot of people think it's an arm or a buy down or a balloon of some sort, but it's not. It's
Most
pretty
most people,
straightforward.
I'm finding most people never heard of it.
Yeah,
And they don't realize the potential that they have,
yeah,
and that's something that, I can literally see that light bulb go on when I start talking to a client that's on the fence of, God, I really want to buy today, but I've got friends and family saying, wait, you're going to get a better interest rate. Well, then the price of the house is going to go up too. So,
and that's not.
make it work. The best time to buy is when you're ready. And if you're ready today, working with people like yourself, Jeff, we can definitely make it work. And just like this, I like using this example of our clients that made it work and ended up with a ton of equity. They were able to save hundreds of dollars a month, and as soon as the 2-1 was down, Jeff, you're on the phone, you're calling them, you're updating them, and
Yeah.
one day clear to close. I mean, how painless can that be when you actually have a professional working for you to save you money?
And that's regardless of where the mortgage servicer is in their world at that time, because a lot of people think, well, okay, we may do the mortgage, and the current servicer that we sell it to, because at our company, Simple Home Lending, we don't service mortgages. We're an independent brokerage, so to speak. So we don't make payments to us. We'll sell it to United Wholesale Mortgage, Plaza Home Lending. We have a plethora of lenders that we work with. Now, once they get the mortgage, they may sell it also. It just happens. It's inevitable where it
Yeah.
may go from one lender to another. You end up with Mr. Cooper, who Rocket Mortgage just bought Mr. Cooper. So if you have your mortgage payment to Mr. Cooper, a lot of people think, well, I got to talk to them to refinance, and that's absolutely not the case. Matter of fact, it's probably not a good idea because you're just not dealing with a professional. You're just dealing with some person on the other end of the line who really just doesn't care. They're just going to go ahead and try and throw you into something and not really advise you like I do. So regardless of where you're making your mortgage payment to, you can still talk to your mortgage lender who you originally got your loan through and talk to him or her about refinancing, because I definitely don't advise just talking to who you make the payments to.
Great, great info, Jeff. Like you said, um, when that does happen, when they sell it, just like this, you stay on top of it. It doesn't matter where it's at.
No,
It's all about the follow up of working with a lender that actually cares, and he's not here just for today's transaction. He's here for, if you got a 30-year mortgage, Jeff's going to be calling you in 25 years.
it doesn't matter when. I keep track of them for many, many years. So,
Absolutely, no,
so
that's
that's
great,
what's
Jeff.
been going on. So, what else going on in the market? How you seeing? What else you seeing out there today?
Um, you know, uh, just a lot of people on the fence. Just when's the right time? When's the right time? And I can't stress that it circles right back to what we were just talking about. Homes are sitting a little bit longer. Um, and there's not a lot out there. So I think you have so many uneducated people um, that are waiting. But yet, then there's the other side of it. And I don't know where you're at, but me with a 3% interest rate, I'm not going to move unless I have to move. And then they wonder. I get the questions always, Joe, how are you so busy? Well, because the fact of the matter is people always need a house. And same thing, Jeff, you see it. You've got
Mhm.
the first time home buyers, you got people that are retiring, you got people that are going through divorce, you got people, it's always a life event. And that's what, I'm there for them. You're there for them. And it's life events that actually dictate when you're going to move, but it's working with the professional that's going to be able to make it worth your while, and give you the confidence, going into it. That's why I got into this. I never really trusted whoever I worked with. I always did it kind of spur of the moment, and I found a house I liked, and I ran with it. But that can be really unnerving, even if you're working with a good guy. If you haven't built that rapport, or you just don't have that connection with your lender or your agent, it can be really unsettling. So I just, I'm a lot like you, Jeff. Just try to reach out, and we do things like this to educate people when they're not looking.
Right.
Hopefully they're watching a video today, and hopefully they call us tomorrow.
That's what we're here for. We try to make it smooth. We try to make it easy. I love our company name, Simple Home Lending. We like to make home financing simple, and
Well,
that's just it's a simple statement, but it really is true. You just the easier you can make it for the client. uh, they're very, very nervous when they're buying a house, so
mhm.
to try and make every step of the process easier really does help with their nerves. We've found recently with my team, my processor will do group texts. And I know we've done that with some of our clients. And I found that even that simple little tool of sending out a group text to our buyer clients, letting them know that they're approved, letting them know what their conditions are that they need to meet, is better often than emailing. We'll still email them, but everybody has that text capability nowadays, and they're so happy about that, just to see the quick communication from our team via text where they can shoot back and forth, and people love that. It just makes the whole process feel a little smoother, a little easier, and again, they just feel more comfortable about the whole thing, and the speed in which we're closing these transactions. I've often said it for years how fast it is, but it's really truly incredible lately how fast these transactions can close when you're working with a team where everybody's on the same page, like you and I, your back office, my back office, and man, it just happens quick nowadays, and that makes everybody smile and get into their home sooner rather than later. So that's been awesome too.
Well, it's great to try to relieve some of that stress, and again, just give people the confidence to know that they're in good hands, and try to have fun with it, and
Yep,
kind of
absolutely.
wait for that market. Does it matter? I don't know. It doesn't. It sounds better. I think it's a buzz. I think a lot of people just like talking about it. It's like the weather. Does it really matter what's going on outside? Are you still going to go golfing or not? If it's cloudy or sunny, no, it doesn't matter.
I'm a fair weather golfer, so I need the weather to be good for golf traditionally, even though I love golfing.
Right.
Boating, however, yes, it's definitely got to be nice, or I'm not
Right.
out.
Right,
No,
absolutely.
no question.
Well, it helps.
As we go into in this fourth quarter here, it's traditionally a much slower time of the year. That is just true. Um, which also tends to bring out the more serious buyers and the more serious sellers. So I'd like to hope that as we float into these colder months, we're going to start to see some more activity for true sellers and true buyers. You're not going to see the tire kickers when it's 20 degrees out and snow. So yeah, I'd like to hope that will make the winter months go well for us, because I think there are going to be opportunities out there for those who do take advantage. Rates are going down. We keep hearing about it. The Feds are going to drop rates, from what we're hearing, at least possibly two more times this year in 2025. So that's going to continue to drive the interest rates down. We've talked about this, and the Federal Reserve Board dropped interest rates not long ago. Since they dropped rates, mortgage rates have gone up. And that's always an odd thing to hear, because everybody thinks the Feds drop rates. So mortgage rates drop. It's not the case immediately. Long term, that does happen, that rates will eventually start to go down. But traditionally, when the Feds are going to drop interest rates, leading up to that is the best time to lock in or take advantage of interest rates, because
100%.
you're hearing about it in the media. So the market the mortgage market prices that in, knowing that rates are going to drop, and then the Feds drop, and boom, the 10-year Treasury starts to go up again, and now rates start to creep back up. So overall, it's a good directional thing, but you need to work with somebody who's watching that and can advise you on, okay, now's the time to lock. Don't wait for that Fed drop, because if you do, you're going to see a bounce and the rates are going to go up. So uh, fun time going into the winter months, because I think rates are going to continue to drop down. You're going to get more serious buyers. You're going to get more serious sellers. So I think it's going to be a stronger winter than previous years for all of us. And then going into 2026, super excited about 2026. I think it's going to be probably a record year for most of us that have been working this market for the last sludging through this market for the last 3 to 5 years, where it's been a little rough. So
Right.
looking forward to 2026 and continuing to do business together and building our book of business and making our clients happy as always. So
Absolutely, Jeff.
yeah,
Absolutely.
keep at it,
Been
and good luck with our 1,000,005 buyer that we're working on right now. What
eh,
you know,
it's I think it might hit 2, but, well,
2 million.
and, but
We'll see.
we treat them all the same. I don't care. We had a $2
You do.
million showing on Monday, and I've got a $250,000 house that I'm promoting in Mount Clemens right now at the 4-car garage. So,
I saw that. That was
it's just, I don't know. Take a lot
we
of passion in
we
everything that
take
we
them
do, and
all,
it
big or
doesn't matter.
small. We take them
Yeah, I
all, big or
mean,
small. So,
absolutely.
all
Jeff,
right.
thank
Well,
you so much, man. Thanks for,
absolutely, man.
staying on top of it.
Absolutely, go Team USA. Go beat Europe, and we will talk to you next time on Inside the Ropes, Real Talk with Real Pros. Reach out anytime to Joe if you have any questions related to real estate, or you want to go see some beautiful homes with him. And reach out to me if you need to talk mortgages. Thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
Jeff, thanks a lot. Take care.